So, so you might be wondering, why the hell am I wearing this? Well, I made a poll last week about how which character should I dress up as for Halloween for my next Q&A, and most of you guys voted Patrick Bateman because I went through my closet and saw like, oh, what can I do for Halloween? So I was like, oh, I guess I can do Patrick Bateman based on what I have. So why am I doing this? Well, I mean, why not? Why not have a little bit of fun in this hell realm, shitty world that we're living in with this bullshit system, and have a little bit of joy and laughter a bit with this costume that I put together. So yeah. Well, let's just jump right into the Q&A. So Loving Jengus asks, "What's your favorite month of the year?" Let me think. Maybe October. Maybe this month actually, because I don't really like. The beginning of the year is always like, like, oh, the winter, right after Christmas, and then the snow. I guess it depends on where you live too, which country you live in. So, and then like when summer comes in, do I sound a bit congested? I feel like I have something. I think I am, but yeah. And then when summer arrives, it's kind of like, oh, the heat. I like the heat, but I just don't like the heat here. If I was like traveling somewhere else, I'd prefer the heat there, but here it's just kind of, I don't know, just kind of gross. So I guess October, it gives it that good balance. It's like the Halloween spooky season in a way, and the weather getting a little bit colder but not too cold. So I think I'm gonna say October. Yeah. James Krausen W2D asks, what were some of your favorite cartoons growing up? Cartoons, I mean, I don't know, because I live in Canada, so so maybe you guys don't have the same shows everywhere. I enjoyed watching, like, what was it? Timothy Goes to School. Did you guys ever watch that? There was like Franklin. Well, actually, let me look it up. Max and Ruby. I really like Max and Ruby. That was really cool. I remember there was one called the Magic School Bus or something. There's also one called Recess, if I remember. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really much of a cartoon person. I preferred watching, like, my favorite was always Blue's Clues, which was a mixture of cartoon and live action because the host was in live action, but everything around him was cartoon. So I guess you can say it is a cartoon. And the other kids show I like watching was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which is not a cartoon, but it's a live action show. Caden97 asks, "Do you believe in life after death?" Very tricky question, because on one hand, I think that we're just kind of like these like beings on Earth, and they're kind of just there, and then we move on, and that's it. That's the end. Kind of like the insects. We're just animals that die. We're kind of just like another part of them. So once we die, that's it. It's just nothingness. But then there's also this side of me where I feel like I like to believe that there is something after. I don't know what there is, but there is this part of my personality. I just think that there's this little bit of hope where I can kind of like see, oh, maybe there's a possibility of something, But as long as I don't reincarnate, I think that's what I would prefer. Like as a human, like if I were to reincarnate as a human, then I grow up and just go to school, do the same thing, get a job and all that stuff. If I have to do all that all over again, then fuck that. Honestly, if that is what life after death is, then fuck that. I don't want it. By the way, guys, before we continue, I'd like to give you guys a reminder that my sponsorship with Varmelo is still going on. So if you guys want a keyboard to create, like I do, I'm doing video editing all the time, coming up with video titles and thumbnail texts all the time with my keyboard. So I'm not, I mean, yes, I'm being honest that I'm just doing this for potential money, potential digital numbers, but I wouldn't be recommending something if it wasn't actually useful for me. So, If you guys still want that, you know, a keyboard from Varmelo, here's the promo code. You can get a 5% off discount code. And you use the affiliate link in the description. That does help the channel a lot. Red Universe 786 asks, what do you think about anime that are really deep? If you watch any of these, like Attack on Titan, Yu Yu Hakusho, and One Piece. I've only tried watching, I mean, I don't know if you guys watched my previous video, one of them where I talk about being put into a box and stuff, and I talk about anime in that one. And I've never actually watched a full-length anime show. I've only seen anime movies. And the only ones I've tried was Attack on Titan and Cowboy Bebop. Just kind of like started watching the first few episodes and just, you know, there was something about anime shows that just didn't really click with me. You know, and it's not about me rejecting like anime completely, because I do watch some anime movies. Like, I like Your Name, I like Grave of the Fireflies. What else was good? Ghost in the Shell. I think Ghost in the Shell was okay, I think. I'm trying to think about something else. I can't really name anything else, but Weathering with You. Yeah, I think that was good too. Other than that, I can't really name anything else. Fard Hussein 3584 asks, what kind of hobbies do you like that have something to do with creative? Okay. Well, I've said this multiple times on this channel, but like photography, for example, videography. I like to do filmmaking, like video editing. What else? You know, I love playing music, guitar, piano. You know, one other thing I never mentioned was I actually used to draw a lot when I was younger. Kind of stopped after a while. And what else did I do? I mean, that's pretty much it, I think. I don't know what's up with me, but I'm 100% sure I'm congested. This definitely feels that way. But gotta power through the Q&A anyway. I don't care. Terry Verded asked, not a question, but recommendation of other channels with similar content that you might like. The Functional Melancholic, Marina Karlova, and Born into a Corrupt System. Out of the three, I already watched Born into a Corrupt System. He was actually one of the channels that inspired me to make this channel, because watching his channel kind of just made me feel like, oh, like somebody's actually like talking about the system and everything, and also in a way he wasn't always like kind of full on like negative, like he was adding a bit of humor into it as well. Because some of the things that he says just made me laugh, and I think that's kind of what inspired, because I kind of have the same like mindset in a way, kind of the way I view things. Like, we kind of like see the absurdity, we can call out the bullshit, but we can still laugh about it, you know. I've never watched Marina Karlova, and Functional Melancholic, I've seen a few of his videos, and personally, like, I understand why people like to watch his video, and it's kind of interesting how he only started his channel like in June, right? And he grew so fast. So yeah, good for him. But at the same time, it's just not my cup of tea. You know, the videos are a bit too structured for me, for my taste. I kind of just like wanting something to be just a bit more like, a bit let loose and kind of just unscripted, and just kind of like thoughts coming out of your brain kind of thing, and some humor injected into it. Not something full on like a philosophical class or something, and I'm just not my taste personally. So that's why I've watched a few and it just didn't click with me. So Black Hole, what's up? Why can't parents leave their kids alone? I guess because parents just they have this mindset. This is probably an older generation thing where they have to, you know, the kids have to follow in their parents' footsteps and do the same thing as them because they're always right. You know, sometimes parents just love to feeling like they have like authority over people, and to feel like, oh, they're the man of the house, you know, and they have the best advice, you know, and you should listen to your parents all the time and stuff. They're always right and stuff, but you know, it's not always true. It's not always true. Angel Shooters 444 asks, if vampires were real, would you want to become one, and why not? Interesting question. I don't know. Because if you're a vampire, you actually get to live like a really long life, right? And I don't know. Well, because that's the thing. Because vampires, they do feed off blood though, so they still have to like feed themselves in a way, right? I'm not really sure what I'm saying. If I know how it works and stuff, but because in a way, if you live long or a super long life for like thousands of years and stuff, and you're still gonna have to sustain yourself in a way. Maybe less than humans. As humans, we have to sustain ourselves a lot more. We have to go through like food and working. Well, that's more of a system thing, but take care of your body, your health, and all that stuff, and make sure you're healthy. So, and then vampires get to do less of that. So, yeah, maybe I would actually. If you get to sustain a bit less and you can still get to live, maybe. I'm not sure. Berenice 9000 asks, you mentioned you have creative hobbies. I'm curious if there are specific kinds of things you like to create. Like, are there genres, styles, or sounds that you gravitate towards? In general, how would you say you approach creativity? Been loving the videos, by the way. Thanks for continuing to share your perspective. Yeah, thank you. Well, I did mention earlier I do like photography, videography, and music and stuff. In terms of genres and styles. Oh, one thing I didn't mention, but I I don't do this now. I used to do it a lot more before, but I used to try songwriting when I was like playing guitar and stuff. And I was just writing stuff about my feelings and what I was going through and stuff like that. I kind of stopped a little bit before, right around the time I started my first like career job. And so yeah, it just goes to show that when you start a career job and when you start complying to the system, you kind of lose part of yourself. In terms of genres and styles, I like to when it comes to photography, for example, I like to have something that has like a very candid feeling, and not something that where like people are posing for the camera. Just kind of like things to capture like real life, something to capture like stillness and just calm, and something like peaceful, something that kind of reminds you of something. I like to give my videos and my pictures like a very nostalgic look, kind of like a filmic look to them. I kind of I'm already doing that with these videos already, so that's another thing too. Like with these videos, I'm putting like a color grade, like a LUT filter, that's what you call it, over this. So that's what I usually do with my videos. I don't just record and just post. I kind of do a bit of work on these videos too. So yeah, just something like nostalgic, something filmic, something vintage. And the type of music I would play on the guitar, I would play mostly like, I guess like indie rock, indie folk, acoustic style music mostly, not something like rock and roll and some like obscure music in a way, and maybe a bit of few country songs in there, and yeah. And in terms of what I play on the piano, usually with piano, I like to play like movie scores and movie soundtracks a lot. So yeah, there you go. R Black X asks, are your parents pressuring you to look for a job? I wouldn't say pressure, but they do ask from time to time and wondering what's up and stuff. And it's always because it's such a tough situation to be in, and it's not that because like parents don't actually like realize what really happened. Well, at least my parents anyway. They don't realize what really happened, how much my last job affected me. So it's mostly like, oh, well, it was bad luck. You had a bad experience, but you got to get back up and move on and find the next job. But they don't realize that this job has psychologically changed me completely. And it's actually what led me to creating this channel. Like that toxic job, like without that toxic job, this channel would not have existed. So that's actually crazy to think about. And but just the thoughts that I've been having just about that job is just the seeing how people in positions of power, you kind of lose trust in, your boss. You kind of lose trust in some of your coworkers. People turning against you and all that stuff. It's like, how can I easily trust another job again? But I guess in a way, the mindset is that, oh, well, you need to have a job for survival, and I guess that's another mindset. But I'm trying to figure out a way to make digital numbers without having to rely on a job, a regular job. So it will be hard, it'll be, I'll struggle a lot finding that, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Another question from R Black X: if you could move to a different country, which one would you move to? Definitely a country with a low cost of living. I've kind of thought about this for a couple months now, and I guess it would be somewhere in Southeast Asia. Vietnam could be a possibility because the cost of living is so low. But at the same time, you kind of have to figure out how to make income in like a country, in your own country, because if you just move there and you're making the currency of Vietnam, for example, well then it will still be kind of low for you. So you kind of have to find a way to make income in, for example, in my case, Canadian dollars, and then you move to a country with a low cost of living. I guess that would be the way to do it. Tiger Festival 1988 asks, do you still have hope things could get better within our lifetimes? The reason I ask is because I no longer do. Since I came to realize that things need to get much worse than this before things start getting much better, as the current status quo, capitalism and hustle culture especially, has become the unquestioned holy religion, just as no one questioned God centuries ago. I've long given up on potential change via politics due to it being a circus these days. Yeah, I mean, I kind of do agree with what you're saying there, because it is true that things need to get a lot worse for change to start happening. And in our lifetime, I'm already 26 years old, and things are kind of like the same in a way. I don't know, because the whole thing about the job market and the high cost of living, that started like getting big around like when exactly? I mean, I wasn't even aware of these things until like, I feel like COVID changed everything. I think when COVID hit, I started realizing a lot of these things. Like I started noticing things on the news, and people started talking about inflation and all that stuff. Because before COVID, I never really like paid attention to this stuff, and maybe I was just unaware of this stuff. But COVID definitely opened our eyes to a lot of the things happening, and so unfortunately, I think that in our lifetime we're kind of just screwed, and a lot of the reason is because people don't want to prioritize mental health, for example. And, things kind of get dismissed a lot. Our feelings are not validated. And so this creates this kind of, nothing's going to change, because a lot of people will just tell us, well, that's life, that's the way it is. And when really it's, all these made up things like taxes, how can you say that's life? It's just something that was just made up. It was made up by somebody from many centuries ago at the top, and, we're still following by those same rules. And those rules are kind of like what's draining us and affecting our mental health, and and giving us anxiety and stress and all that stuff. And we shouldn't live in a world where these made up things give us stress and anxiety. We should try to find ways to work around it, but we're not, because so many people, like not only people up there but just regular people, will just tell you to oh, that's life, get over it, because that's the way the world works. Mm-hmm. The more people say shit like that, nothing's ever gonna fucking change. So that's the unfortunate truth. But yeah. Expect the Ghost asks, do you believe in aliens and ghosts? Interesting. In terms of aliens, I don't like to say aliens, because I like to say more like other living beings in the universe and the galaxy. And I like to think that yes, there are definitely other living beings out there. Like we're just like tiny little like species on a vast universe. So it's not hard to believe that there are other living beings out there. So I think there are other living beings out there. But in terms of ghosts, I'm not sure about ghosts though. But at the same time, it's like it kind of goes back to what I said earlier about do you believe in life after death? And part of me is saying, oh, we're just kind of like these living beings, these creatures on Earth, and just okay, we die and then that's it. Just like any other insect, just like any other animal. But then, like I said earlier in the other question, I kind of have this side where, oh, what if there is a type of life out there after death? And being a ghost is one of them as well. So to be able to kind of just roam around the earth and not feel like any pain, any suffering, no hunger, you just kind of just, wandering around. Something about it feels peaceful, actually. So, yeah, I like to think that ghosts do exist, but there's also a part of me that's kind of like, oh, what if we're just like, whatever. Duck Collect asks, what's your advice for a 17-year-old headed to college next year? Is there a way to escape this trap? Should I live in a car while working a career in the future to save money? Or should me and my bunch of friends buy a house together and say, fuck it? Living with 6 bros and a machine sounds incredible. A man-sheen sounds incredible. Interesting question. College. Now, I'm not here to tell you to do what you're going to do in life. I don't want to be responsible for what you guys do, and if you guys believe college is the right step and that's what's going to get you to your goal, then go for it. But if you had to ask my opinion, it's just I feel like college, university, just education is kind of a scam because you're just doing everything just to get a fucking paper. And not only that, but once you get that paper, it doesn't actually guarantee you a job because you just still have to go through the job market. You still have to go through all these job applications and competing against other applicants out there who are applying for the same position. So, and the fact that the job market is completely shit right now, it's just like, what is the fucking point? And not only that, but like the amount of money you spend just to get that piece of paper. Some people end up getting student loans and student debt as well, and it's like fucking crazy, honestly. It's like they make you think that getting this piece of paper is the right step, but you're like literally struggling financially while trying to get that paper. So it's like I feel like education, at least in terms of college and university, it's just another way to fuel the economy. It's a money-making machine, basically. Honestly, guys, the more I speak, the more congested I sound, and the more like my nose gets blocked, and I'm struggling here. But I'm just gonna get through this for you guys. It's Halloween. Noah ZQ8CB asks, if you were in a medieval fantasy world, what would your build be like? A magician, archer, knight, necromancer? I would love to live in a Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Elden Ring reality. At least those have adventures. Yeah, I agree totally because these things have adventure, but then again, if you take Game of Thrones for example, Game of Thrones is kind of harsh, it's kind of cruel, and it's not sunshine and rainbows. So living in Game of Thrones would be very I don't know about Game of Thrones. Like Game of Thrones, you'll be fighting for your life in those in that universe. Honestly, there's nothing beautiful about it. It's a great show, and I'm sure the books are great. I've never read the books, but it is quite a cruel world in Game of Thrones. I've never played Elden Ring, so I have no idea. But Lord of the Rings, there is something so beautiful about Lord of the Rings, Middle Earth, and just the vast landscapes. A lot of Lord of the Rings is just about like appreciating nature, preserving nature around you, the planet, and there's just so much beauty in Middle Earth, in the world of Lord of the Rings. And just the whole theme of Lord of the Rings, the sense of adventure, of wanting to travel by foot and just like exploring the world. There's something so beautiful about it. what would I be in that world? I know you said like a magician, archer, knight, or necromancer. I feel like I like to be either an elf or a hobbit. Elf because they kind of just they have this like ethereal, they're like these ethereal spiritual beings that are like otherworldly, and you know there's something so beautiful about it. And then hobbits, well, they're just kind of like living peaceful lives, right? And just kind of chilling, eating like lots of food and like drinking beer or wine and yeah, there's something so peaceful about it. So, and you're living like in the countryside and in a beautiful place. So I think I'd go for one of those two. So Sean's content asks, well, he has two questions. The first one being born into this inhumane system in the first place, does this affect your experiences of nostalgia? To be honest, I'm someone who still feels nostalgic. I still feel things. I'm not like completely like emotionless, and I kind of like, I love to like dive into, like, that's why I love rewatching some old movies, some old shows from my childhood, just to get in touch with my inner child, my inner, like, who I used to be. And there's something so comforting about it. And I really like kind of just, you know, it's like, yeah, this world is shit, and there's so much, like, so many horrible things that you could see, but, you know, just to hold on to that sense of nostalgia, that hold on to that, who I was before, you know, before having to deal with the system and everything, just to, you know, it makes life bearable, at least, you know, but it is still shit, you know, I can't deny that. But and his second question is, knowing the practicality of this critical awareness, do you have interest in philosophy as well? I mean, if I were to dive into the topic of philosophy and everything, not really, but in a way, the things that I do talk about end up being from a philosophical perspective, and, you know, so, you know, would I just go dive into the topic and like do some research and read books about philosophy? No, but, you know, that doesn't still stop me from thinking about things and talking about them and making these videos for you guys. So in a way, I do explore philosophy in that sense. So Swats asks, I guess that's how you pronounce it, how are you managing finances? Finances, yeah, that's the thing that I'm like struggling with, that I'm pissed off about, because our entire world is revolved around, our entire survival is revolved around digital fucking numbers. And it's just so fucking absurd when you think about it. It's like, you know, I made a payment recently about a credit card payment, and every time I just do this, I'm just like, oh, not again. You know, and you just see the digits from your bank account just go down slightly, and it's just digital numbers. You know, and then we're gonna have to find a way to make that number go higher so that you can pay more bills. And you know, right now I'm only earning through YouTube, and I haven't done this in a while. But, you know, like food deliveries like Uber or DoorDash or whatever. The reason why I haven't done that in a while as well is because of my car situation. If you guys haven't watched one of my previous videos, I mentioned something about how I had an engine replacement recently that I never asked to deal with, and it cost like thousands and thousands of dollars, and I just lost all of that just like that. And that got me pissed. And it's like, why do anything with a car at this point when you're just when things are gonna break down and you're gonna have to pay again? You know, and paying that amount that I did recently was not good. No, it actually killed my fucking mood, honestly. And it's like, why even own a car at this point? Why even do anything at this point? You know, because the more you do anything, you're just gonna fucking pay. But then again, it's the whole, like, you pay to fucking live in this world. It's just so fucking dumb, honestly. So I honestly don't know. I don't really have like the solution or an answer to this, but yeah. Yoshawinks2273 asks, how tall are you? I'm 5'9.5". I don't know if you guys use feet. But if you guys use meters or centimeters, like I don't know, is it 177 meters? No, sorry, 177 centimeters or 1.77 meters. Yeah, I think it's I think that's what it is. Or is it 176? I'm not sure. It's one or the other. But if it's in feet, it's 5 feet 9.5. There you go. Beyond to all asks, what keeps you going in a deeper sense? What keeps you going? So at the beginning, when I started this channel, I was really in a dark place, and I thought like, oh, life is shit. I don't want to keep going. Like everything sucks and all. And I think when it comes to this awakening, awareness, whatever you want to call it, you can either go two ways. You either just stay in one lane where it's just kind of like, full on despair. Okay, if you guys want to do that, that's fine by me. Or you can go to the path of, evolution, kind of like you're kind of, and that's where I am now. I still see life for what it is. I still see the system and society, how bullshit everything is. But part of me, there's this little part of me inside that kind of has this little bit of hope. Like just picturing that there are possibilities out there where you can actually work around the system and live by your own terms and carve your own path, build your own life in your own way, And it's not about escaping the system entirely, because I think that's actually impossible. But to work your way around the system, I think that's what's the goal. And it won't be easy, but that is what I'm trying to do, and that's what, because in a way, we've all felt like joy and happiness in our lives, and it could be through anything, and just to know that there is, yes, those moments come in fragments in our lives because we spend our whole lives trying to make fucking money just for some fucking survival, but that part of me has this little bit of hope inside now, even though I still see everything as shit, So that's what keeps me going in a sense. So, yeah. Man, these Q&As can really kill my throat. Michelle Everbloom asks, "How did you come up with the name Life Outrage?" Interesting question. I remember when it came to coming up with a name. I use this website called like YouTube name generator, and I kind of like type the description of what my channel is going to be about, and there were like a bunch of options, and one option had the word outrage, and another option on top had the word life, and part of me kind of like connected the dots even though they were like kind of far apart, and I was like life outrage, because life outrage was not one of the options. I just took two words from two different options. So I kind of just saw both options. Like, let me just take one word from that sentence and the other word from the other, and that's how life outrage. And I think it sounds. Like looking back, I'm like, damn, that's actually a really good name. Like I actually did a good job picking that. But yeah. Con745 asks, "Do you plan to live stream one day?" I actually recently saw Tragic Reality. He recently did a live stream, and I watched a bit of it, so it kind of gave me the idea, hey, maybe I could do a live stream as well. So yeah, I think I'll do that at some point. Milky Yummy Milky asks, okay, the name. If you could change 3 things about how we people are living, what would they be? This is a very tricky question because, I'm not here to come up with solutions, so I don't know, because then again, if I come up with a solution, what if that solution ends up creating more problems in a way? So I don't know. Because yes, it is quite absurd how we rely everything on digital numbers. But if we take the concept of money out, what would life be like? But then again, when you think about it, people survive like millions and millions of years ago without money, without digital numbers. So it is possible, but it's only important because of the type of world that we're living in now. We're living in a world with fast consumption, productivity everywhere. And so money becomes like a way to kind of like do all these things. So it's quite tricky because millions of years ago, without money, you didn't need to have like productivity as well. You know, people weren't consuming a lot of things at the same time. Nothing was being done in mass production. So money doesn't even, it's like completely irrelevant in that case, in those times. But now it is relevant in a way, yes, but it still fucking sucks because our entire survival depends on it, which makes it more absurd. So it is a tough question to answer because I have no idea, honestly. Another question from Milky Yummy Milky. Marriage in 2025, is it worth it anymore? Marriage. Now, I would say that it depends on your motive. You know, is it something that you're doing to prove to others, to prove that you finally made it, to prove that you actually reached a milestone? If so, then no, it's not fucking worth it. But if you're doing it not for attention, not for validation, not for recognition from people around you, then maybe. But then at the same time, it's like if you truly love someone, why do you need like some form of certificate to prove that you love a person? Because if you truly love a person, then there's no need to prove it. You know, you just simply feel it because it's genuine and pure. So that's why, in my opinion, at least marriage in today's day and age, it's like, no, not really. But at the same time, when I you know how people used to get married in like the past and like millions of years ago with, you know, being in the woods and being something more intimate, something more private, something more sacred, you know. And if marriage was still done in that sense, then yeah. But it's like, because marriage today is not that anymore. You know, marriage is now like a contract, you know, and it's to prove that you love someone. Whereas marriage, like millions of years ago, was more like just something sacred between two people. So if I had to answer your question, then no, in 2025, it's definitely not worth it, at least in modern times. But if you were to approach it in a way that was more like spiritual, more pure and more genuine, away from like the contract signing and how much digital numbers it costs to do that, then yeah, fuck that. I'm not getting into that shit. Brandon Loves Horror Films asks, okay, he has a big question. I'm gonna make sure I read through this without feeling congested. It's impossible. Oh my god, my fucking throat and my nose. Okay, cool. I've got a couple. I love me some rockabilly and neo-rockabilly. What? Do you dig 50s to early 60s rock and roll music? No, I don't really listen to that. Sorry. Alas, it's cool if you don't. Man, you're awesome, dude. Also, what do you think about subcultures, punk rock, greasers, goth, alternative people, metalheads, etc.? Hey, I respect them. People like what they like, but I'm just not one of them. I dig the horror genre a lot. Do you have any favorite French film franchises, stuff that you collect, like comic books or figures, from movies to music on vinyl, to films on Blu-ray? Was always curious. Yeah, actually, I actually have a Blu-ray collection, a DVD as well. This is something I like. I was passionate about doing for a lot of my life. Actually, I loved collecting Blu-rays and DVDs, and just physical media in general. I just love having the physical copy, and a big reason for that is because I grew up with going to the video rental store, and just the magic of going to a video rental store and picking a movie, and then popping out the disc and putting it in the player and just watching a film that way. It's just something so much more magical and real and pure about that, rather than just like scrolling on Netflix or Disney Plus and trying to pick a movie. That's what most of us do now. And but in fact, I actually still use my Blu-ray and DVDs actually. Yeah, so it's something I'm actually really passionate about. And now I don't actually like buy any new stuff anymore because of I'm trying to reduce the consumption, consuming, because before I used to consume a lot in a sense where, you know, after I would finish a shift at work, I would just go straight to the mall or wherever and buy myself a Blu-ray or a DVD, and that's kind of a bad habit when you think about it, because it's kind of like a coping mechanism where you're just having a bad day at work and it was like a tired day, you know, fuck. And then you're just like, oh, how can I cope? Let me just buy. You know, and there's also like the whole Amazon thing where, you know, you're trying to, you know, because a lot of the Blu-rays were like $5 to $10, and you just kind of add that to the cart just to add a little extra thing there. And so I'm sticking to only buying something that's truly meaningful rather than just buying to collect, which was what I used to do a lot. So just a movie that really hits me and that I actually would feel proud of owning rather than just buying everything. So I actually still have some of my figures that I had from when I was a kid, you know, like a bunch of figures like Batman, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. I still have those. A few of them are still on display and a few of them are still in boxes. So yeah, that's the answer to your question. If you suddenly won, and this is the same question from Brandon actually. I lost myself here. If you suddenly won like 9 or 10 million bucks on the lottery, where in the world would you go? The south of France, a clean area of California, way down under to see Australia, New Zealand, Japan. My dream car is the DeLorean. Do you have a favorite cars or car? Yeah, if I won the lottery, I would, well, yeah, of course I would use it to travel the world, because that's actually something I've always wanted to do. There are so many places I want to visit. You know, New Zealand is one of them, you know, Southeast Asia, definitely many different parts of Europe, like Spain, Greece. You know, I'd love to go to, you know, many places in Africa, like Egypt. I'd love to go to, you know, South America. You know, South America would be nice. The Bahamas. There's so many places I'd love to go to. The Bahamas, Jamaica, I'd love to go there too. So yeah, there's just so many places I'd love to visit. Oh, and in terms of my favorite car, my favorite car is the Aston Martin DB5 from the James Bond films. I freaking love that car. Just any Aston Martin from a James Bond film, actually. I just love all of them. Emil DCV asks, favorite authors, books, bands, movies, series, sports. I mean, I don't really have a favorite author because I don't read that many books, so I don't really have an answer for that. Books, again, I don't really read that much, so I don't really have a favorite book. I don't know. Sorry about that. Bands, I don't have a specific favorite band, but I can name some of my favorite bands. I really like Codaline, the Irish band. That was a big staple for me in my teenage years, actually. I really like Survivor. Survivor is a good band. I can't really think of anything else right now. Oh, well, fuck. Movies, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. A lot of my movies are like big franchise stuff, like James Bond, Star Wars, the Dark Knight trilogy, the Spider-Man trilogy, directed by Sam Raimi. Indiana Jones trilogy. A lot of them are trilogies. I love The Matrix, The Town, The Mask of Zorro. Yeah, those are my favorites, actually. Favorite series, I love Cobra Kai. Breaking Bad is a good one, but I haven't rewatched that one in like many years. I love Game of Thrones. I think those are my favorites, those three. Velvet Star Art asks, what do you think about communes or communal living? Do you think the way this era that we exist in will give rise to communal living, where both younger and older generations will support each other more and rely less on the system? Yeah, I think that would be a solution. That would be like a way to kind of live beyond the system, away from all this superficial consuming productivity bullshit hustle culture that we have in this fucking system. And just, I mean, take a look at the way people lived like millions of years ago. where people were exactly living that way, and there was something so much pure and real about it. Was it peaceful? Absolutely not. I'm not gonna romanticize it and say they live peacefully, because they still have to watch for danger, and their survival kind of is very limited. But there is something so much pure about that compared to like, waking up early in the morning, 6 a.m., alarm clock, and just driving commute to work, and like, we're coming into work, clocking in, beep, with your fucking card. And it's like, there's something so like dystopian about that. It's just something so fake and like boring and uninteresting and just fucking ridiculous. So I think communal living is what we need, because we live in such like, in this like separate we're all separated. People are only like striving for themselves, doing, I have my goals, I want to reach this, I want to reach that. Everybody has different like things that they want to do, when things would be so much more peaceful if we kind of just work together. I think that's what we were meant to do, but the way we live now is so far from what we were meant to be doing. So yeah, I mean, I think communal living is one way to do it. The Unfriendly Misanthrope asks, how would you view euthanasia if it were legal? What is that? How would I view that? Now, I just looked up the definition, by the way. I just wish this weren't an option to think about, because I just wish we could just get together and find a solution and think of different ways to improve our society and the system, so that this would not have to be an option. So, because I don't want anybody to reach that breaking point. It's just heartbreaking. But I just wish the system could fucking change. Society can change. I just wish things would change, actually, so that this would not be an option. So I don't know. I don't know how to think about this, because I do not support just ending it, because while we're here, we should just fucking live it. But at the same time, I understand that there are people who are struggling so much right now, and they cannot see another option. So it's just, I don't know. I don't know. So I just wish things would change, so that this would not be an option. Beautiful Mushroom 3466 asks, they have 3 questions. What is your viewpoint that suffering hard times builds character? I think it's bullshit, because I don't think we should be struggling and suffering in life, because the things that we go through are just such meaningless bullshit, but at the same time, it's like, for example, like me going through like my toxic job, for example, which led me to creating this channel, which in a way it's a good thing, but nobody should be going through what I went through at that job. Like nobody deserves to go through that type of bullshit in the first place. But the fact that we allow things to happen like that in the first place is what's the problem. We shouldn't be dealing with shit like that in the first place. It's just ridiculous. Do you celebrate your birthday or no longer care? I mean, I welcome, like, it's not like I don't welcome birthdays and birthday wishes, and I completely appreciate birthday wishes. I just don't go like, I'm just not being a show off about it. I'm not, waving a flag saying, hey, it's my birthday, guys, validate me and stuff, so it's not that anymore. But just to celebrate it among like close ones, family members, people you're close to. So I think that's okay, but just to make a big deal about it, have a huge party, it's like, come on, no, that's just fucking bullshit. If you can talk with your past self, what would you say to him? Damn, that's a really thought-provoking question. I would probably tell him that, to not listen to what others tell him to do. I would tell him to, stand up for himself a lot more when things go bad. Because this is something I struggled a lot before. I didn't have I was in a mindset of just kind of following things along, and even if I didn't like something, I was just going through the motions because that's what everybody does, and just accepting it, even if I didn't like it, even if I didn't feel comfortable doing whatever I was doing, and just to be more mindful about my limits, and just to honor what I like and what I dislike, and and not just follow along, not conform, not comply to the system, and just do my own thing much more order. Like I was already somebody who was a non-conformist in a way when it came to like the type of music I liked and the things that I liked watching and stuff, like my interests. But when it came to life decisions, navigating the external world, that was where I struggled with, standing true to myself, but yeah, it's that's what it is. And these last few questions are gonna come from one user, Legion Primary 020 asks, favorite sci-fi franchise. My favorite is Star Wars, no question. It's something that I've loved since I was a kid. I love lightsabers. I love everything about that world. Anakin's tragic story. It's yeah, I really love Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, actually. Second question, I know you're not a Black Pill channel, but what are your thoughts on dating apps? I think it's so strange how shallow and backwards it is. It's like two people who want a relationship or whatever are trying to artificially force a connection to occur, when in the past relations stemmed from an existing connection that formed naturally. Well, yes, I'm not a Black Pill channel, but I think the difference is that Black Pills, from what I see anyway, they're complaining about the fact that they're not getting any chances on these dating apps, or just dating in general. They're complaining about the fact that their options are limited and they don't have like or that they don't even have chances at all. That's what they're complaining about. And my viewpoint is more like, why even try at all? Why even invest your energy into something so artificial and fake in the first place? Why even participate in something like this? Because that's so superficial and fake. I don't waste my time on this shit at all. I don't cry about how, I'm not getting any chances on these apps. I'm not getting any chances. Blah, 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 blah. So that's where my viewpoint is. Because to me, dating is already fake in the first place. You have all these, what's your type? What I need a height requirement. How much money do you make? What job are you working on? All this stuff. All these things, these requirements, these milestones. Are we boyfriend and girlfriend now? Are we officially in a relationship? Are we officially a couple? When are we getting married? It's like a fucking job interview, for Christ's sakes. And it's like so fake. So it's like once you see all that, once you see through that process, it's like, why even bother? But on another hand, I do believe that love is real. And it would have to be outside of the system. It would have to be outside of everything what I just named there. Because people think that in order to find love, you have to go through dating, when that's not what you have to do. You do not have to go through dating, because dating is like a modern thing. It's a modern way to find love, but it's a distorted perception. Because the system will try to make you think that in order to find love, you have to go through dating, but you do not have to go through dating at all. But at the same time, it is hard to find love in a world where dating is the primary way to find love. So, so when it comes to finding love, it would have to be something that's not forced, not something that you chase, not something that you go look for, not something you go outside and be like, I'm gonna try to look for love right now. That's not how. If you're gonna try to find it in the most real, authentic, and pure way, it will not happen like that. It'll be something like unconventional and rare. So, in a world like this, anyway. So, because all that stuff that I just named, with dating, that's fake. That's fake bullshit crap. It's a scam. I don't bother myself into that stuff. I don't. So I just like do my own thing, and that's it. So but I do believe that love is real. It's a feeling. It's a true feeling that you just simply feel. It's not something that you have to need validation, because that's the thing. you know, a lot of dating involves validation and having to, you know, chasing, a lot of chasing, like chasing approval from that specific person. Oh, do they like me back? Do they like me back? Oh, blah, 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 all that stuff. You know, and all that is not love to me. It's not. It's just, it's a distorted version of love. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. And his last question is, and the last question of the video, recently I've been thinking about how goofy, oversaturated, and in your face that all the 1950s, 60s era stuff looked, with all its bright colors and plasticky feel. And I've been wondering if future generations will look at our generation the same way, with how invested we are on social media and how every business on the planet is competing for our attention, trying to sell us something, whether it be through ads, billboards, etc. It's just so in your face. I can't shake the feeling that it all feels so goofy and ridiculous. What are your thoughts on this, and do you feel the same way? Yeah, I definitely do think that especially like in years from now, people are gonna laugh about all the bullshit things that we see on TikTok, on Instagram, social media, all the stupid content that goes on there. Like sometimes sometimes I'm on social media, and I think deleting it is the solution. I mean, you don't have to delete it completely, like your account, but you can still like delete the app, you know, here and there, because the amount of like really dumb content that are being put out there is just so, it's crazy. And of course there's a lot of dumb AI stuff as well. And you know, there are so many stupid things. And not only that, but these stupid things are kind of addictive. They're kind of like making your brain think, I want more, you know. And I've been there. I've been in that position where I know I'm looking at really stupid things while scrolling, you know, with TikToks, like just swiping up and down, you know, and then you just keep going, even though I know it's, sorry guys, my battery died there. But yeah, I think in future generations, they're just gonna look back at how much stupid stuff and stupid content we produced in this time, because there are a lot of dumb stuff that we see on the internet. But yeah, that finishes the Q&A. Does my throat hurt? Yes. I'm doing all this for you guys. I know like these types of videos don't get that much views, so either way, I don't care. I think I'm gonna do this like every 2 months, I think. And but yeah, and I just wanted to do something special, dress up for Halloween. Are you guys celebrating Halloween? Are you guys dressing up for it as anything? Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See ya.